Hi guys, so good afternoon and welcome back to my magical world. It's 5:04 in the afternoon right now, and it's June 1st, 2025. I am doing a lot of changes with my life, left and right changes. So, ayan, let's not talk about it. What's important is that um, we are going to continue what was uh, the things that we have to finish, diba? So we're reading pages 221 and 222 of the book Mastery. This is just a continuation, for the past few days. There's a lot of things in my program, in my head, guys, that needs to be um, analyzed and realized and to overthink. So for some reason, the image of a beach whale occurred to him, and so he drew it. He took it further and metamorphosed the whale into the warehouse. The teeth and the mouth of whale opening into the bay door. Now he understood the image. It was as if the warehouse had become Jonah's whale, disgorging trucks and materials from its mouth. On the margin of the drawing, he wrote, "The building is a living organism." As he stared at the sketch, his attention was drawn to the rather large whale eye he had painted to the side of the mouth or bay door. It seemed like an interesting metaphor all by itself, and indicated a new direct to lick to take. He began to do different drawings of eyes on the sides of the warehouse, with the eyes turning into the doors. Now, his drawings took on more detail and become more architectural as he began to sketch out the actual sides of the building and doors in a more realistic rendering, but still based on the opening and closing of the enormous eye. In the end, this would turn into the actual design of the folding door that would raise themselves up in the curved shape of an eyelid. By the end of the design process, Calatrava had generated a large number of sketches, and as he thumbed through them in sequential order, he could see a most interesting progression from the loose imaginings of his unconscious to more and more precise renderings. Even in the most accurate sketches of the facade, however, there was still apparent some kind of artistic and playful element. To look at the drawings was almost to see the gradual development of a photograph in a chemical tray. Taking this form of attack was immensely satisfying. It gave him the feeling of creating something that was alive. Working in this way, his emotions were deeply engaged as he played upon all kinds of metaphors, both mythical and Freudian. In the end, his design had a strange and powerful effect. Working with only the facade of the building, he had created the look of a Greek temple, the aluminum undulating like silver columns. The bay doors added a surreal touch, and when folded up, look even more like the entranceway to a temple. All of this blended perfectly with the functionality of a structure. It was a great access and garnered him immediate attention. As the years went by, one important commission followed another. Working on increasingly larger projects, Calatrava could see clearly the dangers ahead of him. Completing a design could take 10 years or more, from the initial sketch to the actual construction. In that time, all kinds of problems and conflicts could arise, which could end up spoiling the initial vision. With larger budgets would come more constraints and the need to please many different people. All he were not careful, his desire to transgress the rules and to express personal vision would get lost in the process. And so, as his career progressed, something inside him made him return to the method he had developed for the Ernstine warehouse and to elaborate it even further. He would always begin with the drawings. Drawing by hand had become increasingly unusual in the era of computer graphics that had come to dominate so many aspects of architectural design in the 1980s. As a trained engineer, Calatrava knew the tremendous advantages the computer provided for running models and testing the soundness of a structure, but working exclusively on a computer, he could not create in the same way as he could with pencil or brush and paper. The intervention of the computer screen cut off the dreamlike process of sketching. The direct contact it gave him with his unconscious, his hand and his mind seemed to work together in a way that was primal and real, and that could not be duplicated through a computer. Are we good, guys? Life has been challenging, and we just have to deal with whatever shit that we are facing in order to move forward, diba? So now his drawings for a single project would number in the hundreds. He would start out in the same loose manner, building up all kinds of associations. He would begin with a feeling of an emotion that the idea of the design sparked in him. This would lead to an image, however vague. For instance, when asked to design an elaborate addition to the Milwaukee Art Museum, what first come to mind and then to paper was the image of a bird about to take flight. This image would go through the mill of the sketching process, but in the end, the roof of the building he designed featured two enormous ribbed panels that would open and close according to the sunlight, giving the impression of an enormous prehistoric bird about to fly over Lake Michigan. So taga doon ba kayo? So later, I want to go there just to take a glimpse and to swim. Pwede ba doon mag-swim? Most of these early free associations would revolve around nature, plants, trees, human figures in various poses, skeletal ribbing, and would be intimate, tied to the landscape. Slowly, the shape of the overall structure would come into focus through this process as he would make the idea increasingly rational and architectural. As an adjunct to this process, he would build models, sometimes beginning with a completely abstract sculptural shape that in subsequent versions would become the design for the structure itself. All of these drawings and sculptures were like exteriorizations of his unconscious and non-verbal thought processes. So inevitably, as he moved closer to the construction phase, he would come up against constraints such as the material to be used and budgetary considerations. But working from this initial strategy, he experienced these factors merely as creative challenges. For instance, how could he incorporate certain materials into the vision he had sketched out and make it all work? If it were a train or a substation, how could he make the platforms and the movement of the trains fit into the overall vision, even enhancing their functionality? Such challenges excites him. So there are people who are like this, who think futuristic, they kind of like make ways for the innovations to really work and to really help and serve the people, or to make the lives of our people easier and efficient, diba? So it's like that. So I hope you are also one of this kind of people. We have to live somehow in a comfortable life. We really have to live a comfortable life. We only have one life, guys, diba? So let's not make it more complicated, diba? Okay, so thank you guys for listening. Thank you for helping me make this world a better place for all of us and for the future generation. I will see you again. Okay, so saka na tayo mag-chika.
Y caíste en cornisas y el cuerpo tibio no te deja pensar. Si te gustó no niegues con risas, no hay verdad más grande que